When Nico Rosberg dropped the bombshell that Ferrari might be planning to open a UK base, it sent a quiet tremor through the Formula One paddock, one that says more about Ferrari's internal struggle than any press release ever could. On paper, it seems logical. With McLaren, Mercedes, Aston Martin, and Red Bull all operating within the UK's motorsport triangle, the gravitational pull of Formula One's technical epicenter is undeniable. But for Ferrari, a team whose identity is inextricably tied to Maranello, the idea of moving even part of its racing operations out of Italy borders on heresy. This isn't just a logistical shift, it's a cultural revolution. What does it say about a team when its legendary base, the same one that powered Schumacher to 5 straight titles, is no longer seen as competitive ground zero? And more importantly, what does it say about Ferrari's confidence in its own systems, structures, and perhaps most painfully, its people? This isn't just about efficiency or proximity to suppliers. It's about legacy versus necessity, about whether heritage can still compete with high-performance modernity. And with the championship slipping further out of reach after just 10 rounds, the desperation behind the decision is starting to show. But will it work, or will the move risk splintering a team already struggling with clarity, structure, and identity? Let's break this down strategically. Why now and why the UK? Ferrari's potential move isn't about copying a trend. It's about survival in a sport that no longer allows for geographical stubbornness. The operational advantage of being within the UK motorsport cluster is real. Faster access to suppliers, tighter feedback loops from simulation to chassis application, and perhaps most critically, a talent pool saturated with championship-proven engineers. The Brackley Brixworth model Mercedes has perfected isn't just efficient, it's brutally effective. And when you consider how many of Ferrari's recent missteps have stemmed from slow decision-making and fragmented execution, think pit wall hesitations, delayed upgrade packages, and clunky interdepartmental communication, the appeal of a UK satellite hub becomes clearer. But Rosberg's insight about communication friction is crucial. It's not enough to duplicate resources. It's about seamless integration. The challenge for Ferrari won't be setting up infrastructure. It will be maintaining one technical voice across 2 cultural languages. Just ask Racing Bulls or Haas. The model works, but only when you establish clear chains of command and real-time data fluidity. In short, Ferrari needs to modernize its race operations without fracturing its identity. The risk, creating a UK outpost that becomes a silo rather than a solution. And with Lewis Hamilton now inside the system, the stakes couldn't be higher. He's used to Mercedes' instant feedback cycles, where one conversation with Toto Wolff could recalibrate an entire weekend. If Ferrari's hybrid model creates even more ambiguity in leadership or delays in decision flow, they could end up chasing innovation while introducing a new layer of dysfunction. For Lewis Hamilton, this might be the most defining structural decision Ferrari makes during his tenure. And it's happening within his first 10 races. Coming from Mercedes, Hamilton is used to high-resolution clarity. One principle, one direction, immediate action. At Ferrari, the lines are blurred. The team dynamic is more traditional, more hierarchical, and, according to insiders, sometimes paralyzed by internal consensus building. Fred Vasseur's leadership is being tested, not just by results, but by the very architecture of how Ferrari makes decisions. It might even alter Ferrari's simulator and wind tunnel usage philosophy, especially with hardware potentially split across sites. But the biggest shift will be cultural. UK-based operations typically favor flatter hierarchies and agile feedback cycles, completely at odds with Ferrari's traditional structure. Will the new base challenge Maranello's authority or complement it? Will decisions be driven more by data flow or internal politics? These are real questions Ferrari must answer before pouring concrete. If done right, this could be the architecture of their next dynasty. If done poorly, it could fracture a team that's already teetering on the edge of another lost decade. And let's not forget, the 2026 regulation changes are looming. Engine format, chassis redesigns, sustainable fuel, all of it resets the competitive board. This UK base must be part of Ferrari's 2026 blueprint, or it risks becoming an expensive distraction. Every top team right now is racing 2 championships, 2025's fading light and 2026's sunrise. Ferrari cannot afford to lose sight of either. In the end, this is about more than Ferrari. It's about Formula One's evolution. The sport is no longer siloed by nationality. It's global, fast-moving, and brutally meritocratic. Legacy buys you history, but not performance. The most successful teams in the modern era have embraced flexibility, streamlined operations, and ruthless self-examination. If Ferrari is finally ready to do the same, it marks a seismic shift. Not just for them, but for the sport's competitive landscape. A UK base isn't a magic bullet, but it could be a symbol, the first real indication that Ferrari is willing to let go of the past to chase the future. And for Hamilton, it may offer something even more personal, the chance to help rebuild an empire, not just drive for one. That journey, however, depends on what happens next. The concrete hasn't been poured, the contracts haven't been signed, but the thinking has begun. And in Formula One, the mindset often precedes the breakthrough. The question now is simple. Does Ferrari truly want to become a modern powerhouse again? Or will they remain a monument to what once was?